What's up guys, Shane aka MustyYeti here. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at a new pistol I just picked up, the Glock 43. Now guys, I know I say this a lot, but if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen a crap ton of this pistol because I'm so excited to have it here in the headquarters. This is by far the hardest gun pistol I've ever had to find. I was checking websites constantly, they were always out of stock. I was putting myself on that waiting list, never got an email confirmation that it was in stock. I was calling local stores within an hour drive of myself, what seemed like daily, and they never had it in stock. Months and months went by, and I finally got a shop that had it in stock. I begged them to hold it. I drove down and pick it up, and I'm really excited to have it here in the headquarters. Now guys, obviously I could have jumped on Gunbroker and picked this pistol up for, you know, $200 over what it costs in stores, and I refused to do that. I did want the pistol, but I didn't want it that bad. To be honest guys, this kind of seemed like a mythical unicorn that didn't exist because it just wasn't anywhere. You couldn't find it anywhere. It's crazy. But if you guys know me, you know I can't leave my pistols alone. I've teamed up with some really cool companies to make this a truly one-off Glock 43 that's going to be a good-looking shooter and a better shooter when it's all said and done. So enough talking, let's flip the camera around and take a closer look at the Glock 43. Alright guys, so here's a close-up of my new Glock 43. Now guys, before we get started, I should mention this has been safety checked. There are no rounds in the magazine, the chamber is clear, the trigger's been pulled, so we are all set to go. As most of you guys know, this is a pistol that many people have been begging Glock to produce forever now, to make the same reliable pistol they've been making for years, but in a much smaller and thinner package. I have to say guys, when holding this thing, it just feels like a shrunken down Glock, and it kind of confused my brain at first. As you guys know, Glock's first introduction to the small carry market was the Glock 42, which was chambered in 380. I wasn't too interested in that when it came out. I was just crossing my fingers hoping they'd come out the 9mm. It was just a matter of time before they did. They released the Glock 43, which you see here, and it is chambered in 9mm. When I saw this thing, I had to pick it up. Alright guys, before we get into my thoughts and opinions on this, I want to cover the specs of this specific pistol. This is the 43 yet again, so it's chambered in 9mm. We have the overall length here of 6.25 inches. We have the overall height at 4.25 inches. Really thin here guys, it's only about an inch wide. We have a barrel length of 3.39 inches. Unloaded, this thing weighs about 18 ounces. Fully loaded, this thing weighs 22 ounces. It's said to have a trigger pull of 5.5 pounds. And we have a standard magazine size of 6, so a total of 6 plus 1. As you guys can see from the specs listed, there are a few things that make this a really good option for concealed carry. Number 1, that short barrel length of 3.39 inches. Number 2, the overall width at a little over an inch. Number 3, the short frame size, which is going to keep you from printing when you're carrying it. And lastly is the overall weight, which is between 18 and 22 ounces depending on how you're carrying this sucker. As you guys can see, this pistol hits all the marks you're looking for when picking up a concealed carry pistol, especially in the overall dimensions. The thin width and low weight of this pistol makes it very comfortable to conceal. When you combine that with the short frame and the short barrel, this pistol is a great carry option. Now I've had this pistol for some time now, maybe a couple of months, and I've shot it quite a bit. This is going to be my primary concealed carry pistol from here on out, and before I start carrying it, I'm shooting it a lot to familiarize myself with it and become as proficient as possible with it. You don't want to have any doubts when carrying your concealed weapon. You want to know it through and through, know how to point it, shoot it, and hit what you're aiming at. Now guys, this pistol isn't all rainbows and lollipops, so we're going to talk about some of the cons of this weapon next. I will say I've had a hard time shooting this Glock 43. It's a really snappy pistol that I'm still getting used to. I have larger hands, and with this small frame, which is a bonus for carrying, is actually a con for my shooting. When you add that to the 5.5 pound stiff trigger pull of the Glock 43, it seems to be a little bit more difficult to shoot than what I'm used to. The other small downside to some people is the low round count with the single stack magazine. This pistol is only capable of 6 plus 1 like we mentioned earlier, and in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty small, especially within the past you had Glocks setting the precedence for magazine capacity. However, I don't think that's something worth complaining about since it's part of the deal when purchasing one of these small pistols. If you want something with more rounds in it, go pick up a larger pistol like a Glock 26. It won't be as comfortable to carry, but it will have a higher round count. Lastly, the factory Glock sights, which we all know are mediocre at best. When it comes to concealed carry, I want sights that are sturdy and robust. Ones I know that won't break if I ever find myself on the ground rolling around. And the stock polymer sights just don't give me a high level of assurance there. Alright guys, I'm sure there's a ton of you out there that are curious how the Glock 43 stacks up against the Springfield XDS. I've had this Springfield in the headquarters for a while now. This used to be my primary concealed carry weapon until I got the Glock 43. This is chambered in 9mm just like the 43 is. So this is a really fair comparison side by side between these two pistols. Now I'll be sure to annotate some specs up here in the corner so you guys can compare these pistols for yourself and come up with your own conclusions to what you think would be a better pistol for you. So let's just go down these specs and compare these side by side. The big difference here between these two pistols, guys, is weight. The Glock 43, when it's unloaded, weighs only, 18 ounces, and the Springfield XDS, when it's empty, weighs 23 ounces, so quite a bit heavier on this end. The next difference that might be a little bit deceiving here because of this magazine plate here, which doesn't actually give you an extra round, just gives you a little bit more surface area to grab onto, but I believe that the Glock 43 is a bit smaller in height. The Springfield XDS with no magazine extension is 4.4 inches tall, and the Glock 43 height is 4.25 inches. So almost a quarter-inch difference in actual height there, which is going to make a big difference when you're concealed carrying it inside your waistband that you don't print on your shirt. The lengths are pretty similar, as you guys can see from the stats. The Springfield XDS is 6.3 inches in length, whereas the Glock 43 is 6.26, so pretty much we're splitting hairs at that point, no real difference. They're also very, very similar in width. The Glock 43 is just a hair over an inch, and the Springfield XDS is just a hair under an inch. So again, we're splitting hairs, not much difference there. The big difference is going to be the triggers. Now, like I said, I've had this forever, and I believe a few months after Springfield released this pistol, they did do a recall because they were having accidental discharges with this specific pistol. I never had that issue, but I did send it back because I didn't want to risk it. I finally got the pistol back after a few months. Me and several other people complained about how stiff this trigger was. It made this gun a much more difficult shooter than it was before. And I did say that the Glock was a little hard to shoot with that 5.5 pound stiff trigger pull, but between these two, the Glock 43 definitely wins in trigger pull and being able to more easily aim and hit what you're shooting at. Well guys, looks like I forgot to talk about the sights on these two pistols. So the one department where the Springfield XDS definitely beats the Glock, hands down, is in sights. I know I discussed this earlier, but we talked about these cheap plastic sights that Glock puts on all their pistols. If you guys get one of these, I highly recommend you change it out immediately. Like I said, the Springfield XDS definitely beats this thing out. In the front, we have a fiber optic. In the back, we have a dovetail rear steel sight. So you've got some really nice metal steel sights that are going to definitely handle any beating or wear or tear that might come to this concealed carry pistol. So the one thing where the Springfield XDS definitely wins is in the sights. For those of you who've been following me for some time, know I can't leave my guns alone, and this one is going to be no exception. I'm going to take some steps here to help correct some of those shortcomings of the Glock 43. To handle that small magazine capacity, I'm first going to contact my boys over at Strike Industries about getting some of those Glock 43 EMP plus 2 magazine extensions. They're making some of the best looking magazine extensions on the market for the Glock 43, in my opinion. They've done a great job of matching the look and feel of the Glock 43, and you wouldn't go wrong with picking a couple of those things up. Next, and most important, I've teamed up with the guys over at Dynamic Weapon Solutions, and they will be doing a complete overhaul on this slide, which should drastically improve the Glock 43. They'll be milling the slide, the top, the bottom, the front, the back. This includes forward serrations on the side and on the top of the pistol. They'll also be adding a couple of portholes, hopefully, to show off a custom-coated barrel or aftermarket barrel. I haven't decided which one to go with yet. They will be installing the Trichicon sights, which are a vast improvement from the Glock factory sights. And of course, a badass paint job on this thing to really set it apart from other 43s. If you guys haven't, you should really go check them out. I'll be sure to link their webpage or social medias in the description box below so you can see their work. And also, I haven't decided at this point if I'm going to do a stipple job on the frame. I most likely will, but I need to take this project one step at a time as money is a concern. Alright guys, that about wraps up the video where we quickly discuss the Glock 43. I am really excited to team up with Dynamic Weapon Solutions, Strike Industries, and a few other companies to really make a one-off, better shooting Glock 43. I'm going to love getting this thing back and carrying this thing every day. yeah, that about wraps up, guys. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comment box below. As usual, guys, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.